Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Members of the Caribbean American Heritage Organization who have this breakfast this morning. I want to thank you, first of all, for your invitation, and it's a pleasure to be here. As Caribbean nationals, you know what cricket is. And when you walk into bat, especially the open bat, you really have to set the foundation. But it's difficult for me as a batsman to walk in here, and as I reach, they tell me I have to go in and defend myself. But I have to do what I have to do in order for the team to function. As Caribbean nationals, we were given the opportunity some years ago to celebrate our heritage. We should be proud and be thankful for giving us the opportunity as nationals of the Caribbean to be able to come to this country and for them to give us a time when we could celebrate our heritage. But we must not forget, during a period when we celebrate our heritage, we must never forget our brothers and sisters back home. Because they have given us the opportunity to be in this country. We see this country as our home, some of us by design, some of us conditions as dictated for us to be here. But we must never forget our dear beloved country. We are not here for ourselves, but we must pave the way for others. If we truly want to celebrate the heritage, we must pave the way for our brothers and sisters back home. How do we do that? There are many different ways, and I'm not here to tell you. You all know how to do it. But first and foremost, we must give back to our people. We must seek to understand what we can give and what we cannot give. We must always think about the less fortunate. Some of us come here and we become selfish in our thinking. We forget what we came for, we forget our people home. Sometimes when people come here and they're looking for assistance, we backtrack and we don't go forward to help. Someone help us to be here. And we must pave the way and help others to be able to have a life here. Every cent that we send back home, it helps someone. We must never forget. In fact, for Grenada alone, we have something as between 10 and 13% of our gross domestic product come from the diaspora, giving back to our community. We must continue to give back. When we left Africa, it is only because the boats dropped us in different parts of the island. We are all one people. And as we celebrate Caribbean Heritage Month, we must instill in our children the values of the Caribbean. And we must ensure that Caribbean heritage continues not only with our generation, but the generations to come. So as we celebrate the month, please use the month to reflect on what our duties are, our responsibilities are. Reach out to our neighbors and show more love. Ensure that our neighbors have something to eat. Ensure that our neighbors' snow is cleaned when they cannot do it. We must reach for each other. We are our brother's keeper. So as we celebrate, I want to wish you all the best, and please be safe on your journey home. It's bad weather out there. And it doesn't take a lot to come from Brooklyn to be here this morning, but I'm happy to be here. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Now we'll proceed to the keynote of this event. For the purposes of introducing our keynote speaker, I'm going to ask Ebony Nelson from the graduating class of Connecticut Central State University, class of 2012 in chemistry, and from the island of Barbados, Ebony Nelson, please come forward to introduce our keynote.
Dr. Claire Nelson has been actively engaged in the business of international development for more than 25 years. She works in the area of project development and management with a particular focus on private sector development. A Renaissance woman, she has been described as a social entrepreneur, futurist, and change leader. The first Jamaican woman to earn a doctorate degree in an engineering discipline, and the only Black in her graduating class. Dr. Nelson holds industrial engineering degrees from the State University of New York at Buffalo, Purdue University, and a doctorate in engineering management from George Washington University. She has served on numerous boards and committees, including the U.S. Department of Commerce, U.S. Caribbean Business Development Council Advisory Board, Black Leadership Forum, D.C. Caribbean Carnival Association, International Think Tank Commission on Pan-African Affairs, Office of the Prime Minister of Barbados, African American Unity Caucus, National Democratic Institute, Carter Center Election Observer, Mission to the Dominican Republic, Black Professionals in International Affairs, and the International Committee of the National Society of Black Engineers Alumni Extension. She has been a front-runner in the challenge of placing the topic of social exclusion and diversity on the agenda of the multilateral development assistance institutions. Please give a round of applause for Dr. Claire Nelson.
This long time, girl, me never see you. Come make me hold your hand. And it's a long time, boy, me never see you. Come make me hold your hand. Peel head jam cross, sit down pan tree top, pick off the blossom. Make me hold your hand, girl. Make me hold your hand. Good morning. We are Drum Nation, Sun People. We come, children of a history wrought by 3 ships that lost their way. Children of a history bought in blood. Children of newly born nations struggling to be free. We come with hands that work. We come with hands that create. We come with hands that help and heal. Our fathers pick apples in your fields. Our mothers build cars in your factories. Our daughters wipe noses in your homes. Our sons die in your armies. Good morning, Hartford.
Good morning.
Good morning. How good and how pleasant it is for us to be gathered together in unity. I want to thank you so much for asking you to join me and giving me this opportunity to share with you some reflections on the meaning and the purpose of Caribbean American Heritage Month. They always say it's not possible for us to get together as Caribbean people, but I know that here we are in what I call the Caribbean Organization Capital of America. Because rumor has it that Hartford has the greatest number of Caribbean organizations per capita, right? And I was looking at the book, as I counted, there are 40. But what is more important, I think, that Hartford must pat itself on the back, because you certainly have the greatest number of Caribbean organizations who own property in America. You certainly have it over Washington in that regard, so we don't have anything over you down there. So here we are, it's Caribbean American Heritage Month, and we're celebrating another milestone in our history as part of the American story. And yes, there's such a thing as a Caribbean American history or her story. And Marcus Garvey said it best, a people without a knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And he's also said that people who fail to learn from history are likely to repeat the mistakes of the past. And so it is critical then, as we seek to collect the bits and pieces of our lives as we continue our race for success here in America, that we also seek to construct a common cause and to cultivate community. Our theme is strength and unity. And I really want to spend my time talking about this idea of why the month and why this unity is so important. But I want to make sure you all understand why it was June. Because some people have asked me, why June? Very simple. It's Caribbean American Heritage Month, so it has to be a warm month, okay? It cannot be, January, when it's cold up in the northern clime. So that leaves you May, June, July, August, September, more or less. May is already Asian Pacific Heritage Month, so that's out. Then we have September, and that's Hispanic Heritage Month starts there, and it's Labor Day, so we said, probably can't work. That leaves June, July, and August. Well, we thought about August because, hey, Jamaica independence, Trinidad independence, Marcus got a birthday, but if we pick August, problems. I mean, when they say, oh, Jamaica and Trinidad think they're going to control the month. Jamaica the 6th, August the 31st can't work. That leaves June and July. All right, July. Now just think, we are trying to get the U.S. Congress and President to declare a Caribbean American Heritage Month. July, Independence Day? I don't think so. Can you imagine when we decide to have July's Cabinet and July 4th parade? Instead of having trombones coming down the road on a marching band, you see some carnival band parade. Where's the flag? Where's the flag? No, it couldn't work. So July was out. So that left June. And when we looked at it, there's actually no Caribbean, well, no English-speaking Caribbean country that has any Independence Day in June. So astronomically, astrologically, mathematically, cosmologically, it was right to have June. So that's why June is Caribbean American Heritage Month. Very simple. But, you know, when we talk about it seriously, where we start this Caribbean American Heritage Month is because when we look at the way we are structured, we're very successful as individuals. But our success as a community lags far behind other immigrant groups. And so in 2000, when we decided to take on the leadership of organizing events in DC under the brand name Caribbean American Heritage Month, it was a leap of faith that one day we could actually have it happen, simply because I was asked a question by a young lady who worked in the then Bill Clinton White House, how come you Caribbean people don't have a month? And the minute she asked that question, for me, it was a reality. Okay? So here we are. Congresswoman Barbara Lee took it up in 2004. The bill was put through Congress for 2 years. It passed the House side in 2005. It passed the Senate side in 2006 on Valentine's Day, my best Valentine's Day gift ever. And then President Bush signed the first proclamation in June 2006. So here we are 7 years later, building this space, cultivating this garden called the Caribbean American community. And as you heard, we've been coming here for a long time, from when Barbados, Bridgetown and Charleston traded in human cargo, our ancestors. And then we have Alexander Hamilton, a founding father of this nation, who was Secretary of the Treasurer, who was from the island of Nevis. So we've been coming here a long time. And I say that we still have not arrived at the place in being a part of the fabric as a community of the American dream. And so it is in this sense, and I want us to ensure that Caribbean American Month is a meaningful exercise in the construction of common cause and the cultivation of this thing called community, because it is not about just waving flags and having more dance parties and wet t-shirt parties. I don't think that's why Barbara Lee asked her colleagues to run around and sign a resolution. She did it because she believed in her mentor. She loved her, the Honorable Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman to claim to run for the President of the United States of America. She was from Caribbean heritage, Barbados and Guyana. And because Congresswoman Barbara Lee loved Shirley Chisholm, she put her name on the line to give us the space to become a more active and vital and vibrant force in the construction of the American dream into the future of this great country. So why do we need to do this, especially now? It's an election year. We look at where we are today. Yes, America is the most powerful country, remains so, but it's also one of the most unequal societies in the developed world. And we are at a kind of a point of either breakthrough or breakdown. Because if we look at our murder rates, the students on rampage, we look at children, pregnancy, youth pregnancy, we go on and on. We see breakdown in our societies, in our families. But there's also potential of breakthrough. Think about it. Every day we walk around in our pockets with a very powerful instrument, a cell phone, that can put us in touch with anybody in the world at the touch of a button. Breakthrough because we are be able to, as a society, have gene splices and cloning technology that has us growing the idea of cloning kidneys and doing those sorts of scientific things, marvels that the human mind never conceived just a short 50 years ago. It's a point of breakthrough. So the point is, what do we then as immigrants have to say and do about this? What has this to do with Caribbean American Heritage Month? I say that we have to realize, first of all, that the winds of change are upon us. The days of give me your tired, poor, hurdling masses struggling to be free may soon be a thing of the past. That's a reality. The global economy is shifting. Yes, America will remain a land of opportunity. America is really, I say, like almost like a spiritual space, because everybody comes here in search of some greater freedom, some greater vision of themselves. And this is really a space for people from wherever we are in the world. Every country is present in this place called America. It's a space. But if we will not be part of this dream going forward, if we don't stake a claim on this ground, nobody ever asks an Irish American when you're going back home. Huh? Nobody ever asks any Hispanic person who is the right person to run for a Hispanic council or caucus, right? But we always have this divide when it comes to people, certainly of African heritage. Obama may not really be American, maybe, you know, I mean, he's born in Hawaii, he's not a part of American state, I don't know. I mean, look at the conversation about who is the right black. Is it a West Indian black or an African American black or American African black from Nigeria, Ghana, etc., who is getting these positions? The fact is, we all suffer from the same condition as immigrants of color coming to this country. So I want to be clear that Caribbean American Heritage Month is not about race also, because Caribbean people are Chinese, we're Indian, we're white, but the majority of Caribbean immigrants to this country are black, so we have to pay attention and not pretend like that is not the case. The fact is, we as immigrants must have a voice. And we must understand we didn't just get here today and become successful. The early 20th century radicals of Harlem, the Claude McKays, the George Padmores, Arturo Schomburg, to name a few, Amy Ashwood Garvey, Amy Jack Garvey, to pay tribute to some of the women in the movement, are those that helped to construct the space in which we now reside. In the 1919, an African-American born named Fenton Johnson wrote, "We in America owe much to the West Indian. We owe much to the intellectuality and indomitable will of these islanders." Langston Hughes put it another way. In his poem Brothers, he said, "We are related, you and I. You from the West Indies, I from Kentucky. We are related, you and I. You from Africa, I from these states. You are brothers, we are brothers, you and I." So it's been 7 years. Well, I have to tell you the honest truth. We didn't do so well in the census. As you know, I was a poster child for the census. We didn't do as well as we wanted, because we didn't do that right in. So we still say we're about 900,000 people of Caribbean heritage in America. I don't think so. Do you? No. All right, so we need to do something. We have to do something to move it up. So when I say we're Caribbean American, I know we all have reasons to be proud. We have the Patrick Ewings and the Cicely Tysons and the Nia Longs and the General Colin Powells, and I'm proud to be Caribbean. But it's not just about those things that we are proud of. We also have to look at some of the things that give us pause, things that are not so pretty. The children who are falling behind. Not all of them are Harvard, let's be frank. Some of them are part of the dismal statistical record of the state of people of color in this country. Now, the things we don't want to talk about: the cousin who is on the run, the sister who is on drugs, the brother who is in prison, the uncle in the mental asylum, the daughter who is pregnant with her third child at 19, and the cousin who makes a living as a commercial sex worker and now it's HIV/AIDS. Yeah. We don't want to talk about those things, but those are also part of reality that we have to address if we are going to be a factor and to ensure that America, as it continues into the 21st century, continues to be a place where we construct this ground of hope for humanity. Because that is what America is for me, a ground where people have hope. So yes, I want Caribbean American Heritage Month to awaken us as Caribbean Americans to the meaning that we have a cause and a common purpose in constructing tomorrow's history. I want to help Americans to realize that the rich diversity of American experience includes our stories about our heroes and our shearers. And I want you to ensure that your young people, your young children learn from the lessons of the past and the great people who helped to construct this country. Yes, we don't want them to just have parties, but we also want them to have stories about the Alexander Hamiltons and the Shirley Chisholms, so we may also have this, what I call Mac history moments in a minute, right? Caribbean American Heritage Month is for educating and re-educating ourselves about the principles of nationhood. 6 years it has been, 6 years, and why do we persist? Well, 7 years this year. Why do we persist? 3 reasons: for visibility, for voice, and to agency. Visibility. Once we have a month, then nobody can say we aren't here. If the president has said, there are Caribbean people here, it means we are now visible. Not just now as individuals, successful doctors and lawyers, but we're visible as a community. The Caribbean is the 3rd border to America as a nation, with over 20 million people. And it might be difficult to say, or funny to say, visibility if you think about the carnivals and those other shops, the roadie shops, the party shops. But we're invisible when it comes to the policy space. We're still not visible in the policy space. Because, that's right, because our social clubs somehow keep on saying we're going back home. 75 years old are going back home. Grandchildren, we're going back home. And if you do go back home, because you have a retirement home there, hey, your grandchildren are here. So, we need to be visible. We have to ensure that everybody understands that we are part of the immigrant America gene pool. We must give voice to the contributions of our people so they understand it's not just the Mayflower arrivals, but we too build America. And that's why the bill, the resolution, names the many greats. The James Weldon Johnson who wrote the so-called Black National Anthem, his parents wrote it from the Bahamas. I want to remind the Caribbean Americans that people like Arturo Schomburg, Claude McKay, J.A. Rogers were part of the Harlem Renaissance. They laid a foundation for the civil rights movement. If you are invisible, you will remain marginalized. And when you're marginal, nobody wants to count you or cares to count you. In this brave new world, we have to ensure that visibility is ours, and we ensure that everybody understands the intimate relationship between the United States of America and the Caribbean region. We're in the same sea. Voice. Voice. A democracy is only as good as its citizens. I did not say leaders, right? It's citizens, the followers. It's important that we as a community recognize that there are privileges and responsibilities and duties that come with living in this, one of the most successful experiments in shaping the human destiny, the American democracy. Whether you like it or not, it is one of the most successful experiments for people of different races and colors and class and creeds and religious beliefs, from different tribal, deeply rooted hatreds and antipathies, coming together to work out our common spiritual destiny as a human family. That is America. So we must recognize that this democracy is a living and breathing thing. When we founded ICS, it was to give us as Caribbean people a voice, an organized voice in Washington, where we can give voice to our common fears and worries and woes and hopes and dreams. And voice is a necessary prerequisite to getting your power. And we were taught voice by people like Stokely Carmichael, who was a student immigrant from Trinidad at Howard University in the 60s, could not sit at lunch counters and so fought in the civil rights movement, and Malcolm X and Louis Farrakhan. These people have taught us voice. Voice, a necessity, the second necessity for Caribbean American Heritage Month. And then lastly, there's agency. As I said earlier, we're at a turning point in American history, in Caribbean history, in the history of Caribbean American and of the world. If we do this right today as a community, 100 years from now, each of us in this room that has an organization, whether it's a Cricket Hall of Fame or a dance group or a trade council or whatever, will be the stuff of which the legends of tomorrow will be made. We're living in the shadows. We are, thank you. We are living in the shadows of the giants like Charles Petioni and the others. We still can't follow the footprints of Marcus Garvey. Think about it. Back in the teens, without a fax, an email, the man had 3 newspapers in 3 languages going to 50-something countries around the world. Hello? Has anybody beat that? We can't even fill the footsteps of those people who have gone ahead of us. So in generating this organism called the Caribbean American Community, in staking ground in America in this month, we're planting it, the seeds. We're saying we're planting a new genus in the American democracy. The 21st century is going to bring with it a lot of new challenges. China, India, climate change are the few things that are challenging what the American dream of the 21st century will look like. More risks. And I want to say it's important that we don't just say, boy, I don't like it, I want to just run back home, you know. Because the truth is, we're not going home. And as I said earlier, if we even go home, we leave our children and grandchildren here. And in fact, most of us are only going as far south as Fort Lauderdale. That's where we end up, you know, Kingston 21. So, this thing called agency is not just about being counted, having a voice and visibility. It's about having the power, claiming the power to determine who and what will make the rules for the counting that will take place. As residents and citizens of this country, it is my belief that we have the duty, the responsibility, and the privilege to be a conscious part of the process of shaping its destiny. We must learn agency from Shirley Chisholm, who said, I am unbossed and unbought, and dared to run to be the President of America. Few years after, blacks got the right to even sit at lunch counters. Think about it. Are we filling the footsteps of the giants who have walked before us? What can we learn from these heroes and shearers about claiming our visibility, our voice, and an agency, and give reason, real reason to the existence and the work it takes to put together a Caribbean American Heritage Month? And to what end? To create and shape the America of our desire. Because at the end of it all, we are all humans looking and shaping for a better tomorrow. We all believe this better world is possible. That's what gets us in the morning and go to work, whether it's a 1 job, a 2 job, or 3 job. That's why we get up and go to work, because we are trying to make something better for the tomorrow. But what does this better tomorrow look like? What is a better America? And where do we see ourselves in this? So this better America of the 21st century, in June the 2nd, 2020, is it that we will see a country where the climate change is now considered a normal thing to talk about, and energy and renewable energy is a thing that no longer boggles the people's mind, because we now understand we must do this to survive? Is it one where the public schools will be back on the trail, comeback trail, and schools in poor neighborhoods will have adequate technology, will no longer have a digital divide between the haves and the have-nots? Is this the 2020 we hope to create? Is it the 2020 when health insurance will be available for all, that people will not be living in a country where we can clone heart cells but we can't get health care? Is this the 2020 we want to shape? These are the better futures of my imaginings. And so I ask you today, what is yours? What is the vision you're waiting to unleash for your children and your grandchildren? I say, we have the potential in our hands waiting to be unleashed in this country if we come together as one. In Jamaica, we say we liquor, but we talawa. And what is it to be talawa? It is to understand we have purpose, a God-given purpose. It is to understand that we must persevere, perseverance. And the third P in being talawa is understand that we have a passion. And we understand that purpose is something that we find by seeking, sometimes on our knees, Why aren't I here and answering that question? But we have to recognize we're in a common destiny. Yes, you may have gone to school and studied those nights on your own, but you did not do it on your own because somebody, an aunt, a godmother, mother, father, somebody, a grandmother, helped get you there. And it may be that sometimes it's hard. I think most people in this room understand the term perseverance. Certainly would not be here without it. But for me, when I think about the personification of perseverance, the one person I talk about and I take her story to my heart and I sleep and I hold her face in my mind, and her name is Harriet Tubman. But when I think about Harriet Tubman, born as a slave in Dorchester County, Maryland, that made the 90-mile trip to move people from slavery to freedom, in the dark of night, dogs and guns waiting for her. Somebody who had, as they called it, fits or epilepsy in those days. She did not go back one time. She did not go back 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. No. She did it 19 times. She went back behind enemy lines to help free her people. And what is even better, when she would find a recalcitrant person who's like afraid to go forward, she would pull a gun and she would say, go forward or die. Because the mission of her purpose was bigger than the one. So what can we learn from Harriet Tubman about perseverance? I think there's a lot to be said. And finally, passion. The last element of this Talawaness that I talk about as Jamaicans. Hope, faith, and love. Because passion is fueled by hope. Passion is fueled by faith. Passion is fueled by love. Because hope is the wizard's path, is the currency of the future. When we have hope in the morning, we think all things are possible. But then there's some mornings when we get up and we just don't have hope. We just get up and we open one eye and we look at the morning and say, oh God, I can't do it today, I'm tired. And so we call on a deeper well, and that is faith. And we say, oh God, if I put one foot forward today, I'm going to make a little money and I'm going to be able to pay the mortgage. And then next week I can pay the children's school fees. That is faith. You make a way out of no way. And then the passion is also fueled by love, as I said. Love of yourself, love of the other, and love of community. Because when we, as mostly volunteer leaders, are fueled by passion, we feel no burdens, we think nothing of the troubles of staying up at night, stapling programs, stuffing envelopes, making phone calls, begging people to buy a $10 ticket. You think nothing of attempting what is above its strength. We plead no excuse of impossibility because we think all things are possible. Yes. So my friends, yes, I say Caribbean American Heritage Month about helping us to see that we can succeed if we move together as one, as a community helping to create and shape the American dream. All of us can come together with our vision to create a shared vision. The basis of cultivating community is hard work. It's back-breaking work. The volunteer leaders know that, but we're not afraid of hard work. Because if you went to school in Jamaica, you've heard it said, the heights of great men were not attained by sudden flight, but they while their companions slept were onward toiling through the night. Folk, there's work to be done in these fields. On June 20th, we have seeds to plant at the White House briefing for the Caribbean American community. The theme will be small business, jobs, workforce development, and trade. We have seeds to plant. We have weeds to uproot on June 21st at the National Caribbean American Legislative Forum, where we again will be establishing our point of view on these great themes. We need you there. We need you to be a part of this conversation. The people in the White House already know my face. State Department know my face. Commerce Department know my face. But as they say in Washington, America is not inside the Beltway. It's out here in the towns and in the communities. We need Hartford and Washington on June 20th and June 21st. And I invite you, I urge you, I beg you to show up. So that this year, in this election year, we can tell the White House, we can tell the Congress, what our vision of America must be, what it is we want to vote for when we vote in November. This is why this year in particular, it's important that Hartford shows up in Washington. Please, the American dream will require that we continue with our compassion and caring and commitment to create and continue to live in a society that provides equal opportunity for all. These are the cornerstones of community. America, yes, America is a nation of immigrants. We need you as an immigrant voice to respond to the call for action this year, to help be vanguards of purpose and perseverance and passion to help create the future of our desire. We too are America. We too work America. We too sing America, as our children sang this morning. We are, at the end of it all, drum nations, sun people, and we come to build roads of opportunity. We are a drum nation, sun people. We come to build paths of understanding. We come to construct bridges over troubled water. We come arms outstretched, not as beggars, but as partners in a collective search for equity and justice for all. We come and we grow new roots and we spread our branches and we survive through the strength of our heritage and our culture. We are drum nations and sun people. We come to this country to create a new community. We come to this country to birth a new society. We come to America to construct new lives on the fertile ground called hope. My friends, come, let us continue to build and grow and cultivate the American dream as a common Caribbean American community.
Thank you so very much. That was wonderful. That was a very powerful presentation. There's a lot of food for thought. What Dr. Claire Nelson has spoken about, I'm sure is something all of us struggle with. You know, when I left Puerto Rico, I came over here and then I found myself part of the Latino community, part of the Rainbow Coalition with Reverend Jackson, as the brown people, part of a coalition with Caribbean Americans, part of a coalition with minority groups, part of a coalition with migrants and immigrants, and we fit into so many different subsets of people. And it's remarkable how Dr. Nelson has tied it all together for us, and the challenges there and the opportunities there. And also that transition from the first wave of immigrants, hardworking, and then the challenges as we go into the second and third generation and absorbed into some of those darker aspects of American society, and how so many of our neighbors, friends, relatives get caught in the underbelly. So I think that we're going to take those thoughts with us, continue the discussions. You know, this family, there's so many things that are going well too. You know, like Mr. John Davis and his Friendship Nights, trying to create scholarships for young people, opportunity to go to college. My friend Dermot Brown and I in the International Foundation for the Exoneration of Marcus Garvey to try to redress some of the problems of the past and the challenges of the future. But as was said, there are already many people from the Caribbean here who've been here since the 19th century. And generations continue, and the community will continue here, and many will not return to their islands. And we have to carve a place for ourselves in this society. So I thank Dr. Nelson. Let's give her another hand of applause. I also want to mention that with us is Joe Washington from the Bloomfield Town Council. And of course, you know, Many people will learn of what Dr. Claire Nelson had to say because of people who have been dedicated to cover these kinds of things in the community. One of those people always present is Stan McCauley, who always comes and films this on video and then transmits it on community service TV, and we get a chance to see many people who weren't here today get a chance to listen to Dr. Nelson and listen to the other speakers through the miracle of technology. And I'm sure that Kevin Brookman will be putting something on the We the People Hartford.com blog, which, by the way, keeps the fire of a lot of politicos, keeps their feet to the fire, because Kevin makes sure that people play it straight and honest in this community. Let's give him another hand of applause for his job as a journalist. We also have with us today Dr. Marvin Douglas, who's president of the West Indian Foundation. Douglas. We have the former president of the Hartford City Council and my good friend Arjo Winch. Arjo? All right, we're going to have a moment for the mayors. Unfortunately, Mayor of Hartford, Pedro Segarra, wasn't able to be here, but I'm going to ask the Honorable Sidney Shulman, will you please come forward and say a few words?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, I say it this time. I say it any time, but this time it really is morning. It's very difficult to get up and to speak at this point. And one reason it's difficult is because the one thing they always tell you is try never to follow such a dynamic, exciting speaker as we had today. Your message was well received. I'd like to correct one thing, though, in your programs. I looked down and it said Sidney Shulman, Mayor of Bloomfield, USA. Well, it is correct that Bloomfield's in the USA. So I'll tell you that. But this also should have said USA and Puerto Rico. Because my wife and I maintain our home in Puerto Rico also. And so we're very proud to be members of the Caribbean population. And so therefore I say welcome all brothers and sisters. And I also feel adopted. I feel adopted by all of the nations of the Caribbean. And so I want to thank you for inviting me here today. Really, most of what I have to say and most of what I feel about today is set forth in the message that's in the book. Because truly, freedom is not free. Freedom has to be worked for. And freedom is not attained. It is never attained. Because as long as we are free, there is a fight, there is a struggle in order to remain free. And so it's our obligation not only to remain free and not only to carry on the struggle, but to improve the quality of life for everybody who's attained that freedom. It's not enough simply to be free. And it's not enough simply to be able to say, well, okay, I can go vote or not vote. It's an obligation to vote. It's a responsibility to vote. But beyond that, it's important for everyone. And this isn't just the politicians or the leaders of the community or anybody else, but every single person to try to improve the quality of life of everybody that's living within our national boundaries. And so with that, I don't have too much more to say. Actually, I was going to take the moment that Mayor Segarra had. So I figured that'd give me 2 moments.
Don't push it.
Because those who know me know that a moment isn't very long. Actually, a moment is too long with me. So I just want to end by one thing. And this is very, very important. I'd like everybody to note this. And that is on Thursday, July 26th, 2012, the town of Bloomfield is going to kick off the West Indian Independence Celebration on our town green at 7 o'clock. Or actually, maybe we may start early. I think we start at 6 or 6:30 that night. Let's say 6 o'clock. And we have a massive celebration each year. Our normal concerts on the green draw, I don't know, 150, something like that. We have 1,000 people, 900 to 1,000 people every year celebrating West Indian independence in the town of Bloomfield on our town green in the kickoff concert. So come and enjoy yourselves. And what I promise everybody who, 2 or 3 weeks before that we will give them tickets, free tickets, to every island nation for that night. We will transport them free. How can you get a better deal than that? Because when you come there that night, you will be transported. You will feel that we are all home. So please come down and join us. Say hello to everybody, because that night, everybody who is there are brothers and sisters. Thank you very much.
Let's welcome the Consul General from Jamaica, Mr. Herman G. Lamont.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Ms. Urania Petit and the Caribbean American Heritage Breakfast Committee, Mayor Bloomfield, who I've met on a previous occasion, never fails to impress me with his skill at salesmanship. And those of you who were listening keenly, you'll realize that you're only going to Bloomfield. Other elected officials in the room, apart from Ms. Urania Petit, be anointed, that little group. I know, that little group, lovely group. When I heard them sing, I said, America's future is assured. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that we will reach a point this morning, I can say brothers and sisters all. Dr. Claire Nelson, what I'm about to say, if I digress before I give my brief consular message. When I sat there, I read your bio and I said, this lady is a natural scientist. What am I to expect? An engineer. My goodness. I must give credit to the organizers of this breakfast meeting for choosing a dynamic speaker, not from vigor alone, animated, colorful, and of course she started with the Jamaican song that I enjoyed so much and set me so much at ease and at home. Well, I think it's Caribbean now. All right, let's say that. We like to lead the way sometimes. Forgive me. Too much of a nationalist. We are in Caribbean month. I want to come back to the President's proclamation, but I want to finish with Dr. Claire Nelson's statement first, because I think it is the solid and only thing we'll remember when we leave here today, more than likely. The way she, as a scientist, a natural scientist, she found a way, or somebody found a way of creating in her a culturalist, a social scientist, a motivation speaker, And I dare say if she chooses a good politician, all wrapped up in one, and package that she labels or somebody labels her misguidedly or deceivingly as a scientist, an engineer, and she found a way to engineer herself in our brains and our heart this morning. Those messages that she gave will live with me forever. Thank you, Dr. Nelson. This, coming back to the President's proclamation on Caribbean American Week month, it is very good when you have this sort of proclamation coming out from the top of your society, your first citizen. But then again, I have to go back to Dr. Claire Nelson, who spoke of how they derived at the month of June. And as she spoke, you know, of course, we wanted to take a little credit for something in Jamaica too. And I said, but then, that's the very month that we created, as it were, Diaspora Month. But I never did find out the reasoning, the rationale behind why that was the only month we could use. I thought it was because they had the symposium in Jamaica around that time and met the following year for the first biennial conference. But I will pass this on to them, the planners of that occasion, Dr. Nelson, and let them know the true reason why that was done. Keeping with the theme, I neglected to acknowledge the presence of my colleagues from the other Caribbean consulates purposefully, because I wanted to address them as I start into our message. Keeping with the theme of cricket, by our opening Consul General, he batted, he held the crease, and I thought the organizers must have been confused as to how to place Dr. Nelson. Because as I sat there, I said, she shouldn't have spoken so early in the program. She should have spoken just before the vote of thanks. Listen, bear with me. I am a planner of programs too, and I understand what was going on here. Because if she had spoken last, then the rest of us wouldn't have to worry about anything. But then if she had not spoken so early, I may still have been asleep. Because I came out of a function late last night in Queens. I got up early this morning and left New York at 7:14 to be exact. And thank God, as usual, I got here on time. But I thought she needed to have spoken last, and she needed to have spoken first. Coming new into the United States, into New York and Connecticut, I knew very little about Caribbean American heritage. And she helped to embody the thoughts that I believe this program is all centered around. I bring you good greetings from the Jamaican Consulate on behalf of myself and the staff. And to let you know that the old adage that's sometimes often spoken, that the Consul General remains in New York, I last saw that book being burned somewhere. So that's not true anymore. I will be coming here as often as you invite me. I have started. I was here in May 5, and I'm coming back here a little from now at a place near Yale University. So I'll be around. My task is to work with you. I'm seeking partners for the development of your community here and Jamaica at home. This is Jamaica's 50th anniversary of nationhood. And we share the accolades with our sister islands, Trinidad and Tobago. I am pleased to see how you have gathered here so amicably, peacefully, and it's not West Indies cricket in the good times we're talking about. Because the whole thrust of the leaders in the Caribbean is to have a united region. And if we are getting united at home as best as we can, we need you here to be very united as a group of people from a region. But also, very importantly, we want you to be very, very integrated in this society called the United States of America. Because only then you can be of any real benefit to us in the Caribbean region. If you have no votes here, you're no good to us. Make sure you get yourself in a position where you have a vote. No vote, no right, no talk. I'm here to work with you, to foster. Part of my responsibility is to foster good relationship with the United States of America, between us and Jamaica and the United States. And this we started in 1962. So that's another thing we're celebrating 50 years of, bilateral relations with the United States of America. We want to keep it strong. We want our Caribbean and Jamaican citizens in particular in this region to maintain that strength. The expression used over and over again, little but taller, is important, not necessarily only for Jamaica, but for our region. So we will keep to that. I wish you well for the whole month, and after that too. And we look forward to working with you on your daily projects as you collaborate with us on the ones we want to execute. Thank you very much.
Let's welcome Victoria Bosquet, Consular Agent for St. Lucia.
Good morning, my Caribbean people.
Good morning.
And excuse me for being a bit biased, but good morning to my St. Lucian people I see in the audience here today. There are a few of us here today. I bring you greetings from the Consul General of St. Lucia. And also, I need to extend apologies from our newly instated ambassador who wished to be here today, but unfortunately she's trying to get settled in, begins her first day of work on Monday, and she sends her apologies, but will be in Connecticut visiting with you and getting to meet not only the St. Lucian community, but the Caribbean community shortly. You know, C.G. Lamont was so correct in saying that it's difficult to speak at this point because it seems that everyone kind of touched base and covered the key points. But still, we all have a message. And the message is unity. The message is for us to come together as one Caribbean people. As we celebrate Caribbean Heritage Month, let it not be a month, but let it be a continuation. We can't just come together in June, have all these wonderful breakfast meetings and celebrations, and at the end of the month, that's it, till next year. If we want to succeed as a people, we have to continue to collaborate and build our voice, empower our people here. The diaspora in the US has to be strong. We need to get more of our people into office. We need to make our voices heard here in the US, and therefore by extension we will empower our community at home. We'll empower our Caribbean islands because we will be here and we'll be able to take action. As we look at so many other nationals and we see what they're able to do collectively, let us look at that. And let us learn from what they do. Let us learn from their strategies. You know, Dr. Nelson was so correct when she said earlier that we may decide to retire and go home, even if home may be as close as Florida, and our children remain. But so many of our children, because they're born here, there's a disconnect. Some of them don't quite know what home is. They don't quite know what the Caribbean is. So let us, most importantly, educate our children. Take them back home. Talk to them about home. Give them the values that we grew up with as children. Because they're the ones who are going to continue to work here in the US. They're the ones who are one day going to serve in public office or have these meaningful jobs. And if they don't feel that Caribbean pride, that West Indian pride, they're not going to feel the need to speak on the behalf of our people. So let us educate them and instill that love and knowledge for us as a people. As the Caribbean community in the islands try to come together, you know, we had the defunct Federation, we formed the OECS, Organization of East Caribbean States, we formed CARICOM Community, we're trying to do a Caribbean Common Market. Let's continue to build that. Because as individual islands, we may be successful as individuals, but we aren't very strong as individual islands. The Caribbean has to become one nation, one people, one voice, working together. And that has to be our ultimate goal. The United States, 52 states, but one country. Even Europe, if you look at Europe right now, all these different countries, but what have they done? European Union. So now we need to ensure that we form the Caribbean Union, whatever name we want to call it. Caribbean Community, Caribbean Union, Caribbean Federation, whatever name we want to call it. But we need to become one voice and one people. And that is the message that I want to leave with us here today. Let Caribbean heritage not be 1 month or 1 day. Let us make it a work in progress, an ongoing effort that we put forth as a people. Next year, I hope to be here again, and I'd like to see this room full. I'd like to see this room doubled in size. Each one bring one, and that is how we grow and that is how we build. So my people, I say to you, thank you so much for the honor of being here today, and let us continue. June 20th and 21st, we should all be in Washington. Not just Connecticut. It should be New York, it should be Boston, it should be Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We should all be in Washington. Very important, fighting and getting our voice heard, because you know what, if you want to be heard and you want to make change, you need to be in it. And that's what we need to do. People, let us get out there and let's get in it, not only for ourselves here in the diaspora, but for our people at home. And to my colleagues from the CARICOM community who are here today, it's wonderful to sit here breaking bread, not only with you, but with our brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Technology can sometimes be good and real bad, and technology has its moments. Remember, we just said that the mayor couldn't be there, but guess what? Second in command, the president of the City Council, Hartford City Council, is here with us, Sean Wooden.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of our mayor, our Court of Common Council, and I believe Councilman King Kennedy is here with us as well. I'd like to welcome you this morning and to say once again that the Caribbean community is, and for a very long time has been, a vital part of our city's history, our city's culture, and the culture of the region. And we respect, we recognize that, and we look forward to building and strengthening our ties that are both cultural, that are economic, that are familial. And just want to say welcome, and it's good to be back again, and look forward to this celebration growing. And although we have a special month right now that we're recognizing for Hartford, this is 12 months out of the year. And so we recognize those contributions, and we look forward to building upon that as we go into the future. So thank you on behalf of the mayor and the Court of Common Council. I say welcome.
Let's welcome Ms. Maima David.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Fellow Caribbean brothers and sisters and friends, those who prefer to be labeled as Caribbean Americans, ladies and gentlemen, it's still morning. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
I was asked to give the closing remarks, and in light of all what was said, I would just like to start by sharing an experience I had yesterday afternoon back in New York. But before I do so, well, Ewan is not in the room, but in her absence, I know she's running around the place. I just want to extend another thank you to her. I say another because I was here last year with you guys at this event, and I just want to commend her for her hard work and her persistence in seeing this event go from strength to strength. But back to my experience yesterday afternoon. I went to the Bank of America nearby our office to transact some business on behalf of our office. And the teller, who is not a friend of mine, no one I'm familiar with, but I guess my face looks familiar to her. But in all honesty, when I go there, I usually get very good customer service. So as she was doing my transaction, she said, "So things are busy at the consulate?" I responded, "As always, yes they are, but June being Caribbean American Heritage Month, I expect it to be an even busier month." And as she was talking, I was already going through my weekend calendar, because just like the Consul General for Jamaica, myself and the Vice Consul for St. Lucia was at another event last evening. And so we got in late, and I went to bed sometime after 2 this morning. She did the same, and then we were on the road after 7. So I was going through my schedule for today. I have another event tonight when I get back to New York, 2 events tomorrow, just in celebration of Caribbean American Heritage Month. And I realized that she had a puzzled look on her face. So I said, "Did I say something wrong?" She said, "What? You said it's the occasion we're celebrating?" I said, "Caribbean American Heritage Month." And the puzzled look remained. She said, "I wonder if my dad knows of it." And I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "Well, my dad is from Barbados, and he usually keeps me informed with all the major activities that's taking place in the Caribbean community." And as she continued my transaction, I realized that she was disappointed. She hadn't heard anything. So she said, "Do people really know about this celebration?" At the time I was a little embarrassed. She said, "Where are these activities held?" I couldn't get an answer out. She said, "Are they all held in New York?" She just threw the questions at me one after the other. And I found it troubling. Because there she is, a proud Caribbean American who didn't know anything about this month-long celebration that we have been celebrating for 7 years. So I took the time to give a bit of history based on what I've learned. And thank you, Dr. Nelson, for giving me the background behind why June, so now I can go across to her on Monday and fill her in with that bit of details as well. And, but, you know, I think that it really was an indictment against all of us, that there's still so many persons out there who don't know, and I'm talking about now Caribbean Americans, who don't know that Caribbean American Heritage Month exists. And you know, even though you really asked me to speak on another topic, and that topic was touched on by all the previous speakers, I felt that this story was quite appropriate to round up this today's event, because we all need to be better foot soldiers at carrying the message and helping to let our own people know. Thank you. That we have a heritage and a culture and values that's worth celebrating, and there are those who champion the cause so that we can have 30 days at minimum to be in the spotlight, as Dr. Nelson, she used the term visibility, which I prefer, you know, for that to take place, for us to have greater visibility. And so we need to make sure that we've used the various medium available to us. Recently, and I want to believe it was the president I heard saying that the 2 most powerful places in the United States are Washington and Hollywood. And that statement resonates with me, because I said, okay, Washington is the place where the policies are shaped. And again, as Dr. Nelson said, the policy space is just, we're not penetrating it effectively or the way that we should. And that's where those things are said. So that's where our voice really needs to be heard. And then Hollywood is where the media and entertainment is dominated. And we can't turn our back to what happens there. So somehow we need to find a way to get our message during the month of June particularly into the Hollywood space, so that, you know, the wider culture here within the United States can learn of us as a people, our culture, our heritage, our values, our contributions, and even learn more about our history and her stories, as you heard today. So in closing, these comments, I certainly want to encourage us all to, see what we can do to really penetrate those spaces, to give us the visibility and the voice that we need as a people here, our people group here within the United States. Caribbean American Heritage Month also gives us a time to set aside our differences and to unite. And you've heard repeatedly about the value of unity. The old adage is still true. Where there's unity, there's strength. And so we need to really harness the opportunities that this month has created for us as a people group and run with the torch so that others can know that the Caribbean people are a vibrant bunch. We have contributed a lot to the development of this powerful nation, and we should be counted. Our voice should be heard. We should be seen. We should be known not just for our accents, for our spicy and tasty foods, our dances and our music. Not in that sense, but we should be known in more powerful ways, so that we can be appreciated and also that we can leave a lasting legacy for the next generations to come. I want to thank you again for this opportunity to be with you this morning, and certainly wish you a happy and successful Caribbean American Heritage Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Umaima David, for the closing remarks. And now, to give us our vote of thanks, we have the Deputy Mayor of the town of Bloomfield, the Honorable Wayne Hippolyte, who is from Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. We build our foundation on our youth, and if this is any indication, our future certainly is bright. And let's give another hand. And also, with them, are there parents here tonight? This morning? Yeah. Beautiful job. Let me take the privilege also would you join me in just thanking the members of the Breakfast Committee. Don't go anywhere, including my good friend and fellow town committee ally in Bloomfield, Joy Chance, Pat Miles, Ebony Nelson, and Urena Pettit for this marvelous presentation and breakfast this morning. And just one other point of personal privilege. Again, I want to acknowledge fellow council member and one of my strong allies from Bloomfield, council member Joe Washington. Dr. Nelson, would you care to maybe sing? No one's heard me sing before. So this morning I'd like to sing praise. And give thanks, seriously, give thanks for the honor to give the vote of thanks. I'm humbled to share the room with so many distinguished guests, friends, and members of the Caribbean community as we celebrate the second annual Caribbean Heritage Month. To celebrate, our rich and very proud cultural heritage. Thanks also to Barbara Lee and her hard work. 7 years in coming, is that it? So as we came together this wet, early, dreary morning in fellowship, inspiration, and community, let us go in peace and let our voices, I heard that term used quite a bit this morning, let our voices be counted, not just today, in August, for those of you who know what I mean, in preparing for what will be a very critical, important, historical election in November. So again, I'm honored to have given thanks, and I thank you all for coming. Thank you.
You are worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great is our God. You're the name above all names. You are worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great is our God. You're the